He's Danny. I'm Grant. This is The Fan. We're with you until 6:30 this evening, 2 hours from now. Remember, every day this week, we've got your chance on the show to win tickets to the Freedom 250 Grand Prix right here on The Fan. We're giving those away at 4 o'clock ahead of the Beltway Blitz. Let's talk Commanders, though. Our training camp coverage on The Fan is presented by Paul Henry's Window Installation, paulhenryswindows.com, your clear home improvement choice. So last week, the big story was Jayden Daniels sending a cease and desist letter via his attorney to LSU, and then the fallout therein, which was that a lot of fans in Baton Rouge were upset. He's at odds now with the program that he helped to win a Heisman for.
And he's getting memed 6 ways from Sunday.
So that's where I wanted to go with this. I am stunned by the reaction being as massive as it was. The internet's one of those things where when something becomes mainstream, everyone just piles on. So I don't think there's actual legitimate animus toward Jayden Daniels outside of LSU fandom, probably. I do think it's a terrible look. We talked about the optics and how embarrassing and small and petty it all was. And when you do something like that, you're going to get called out for it.
Yep.
I kind of thought that would be the end of it. But Danny, you're hard-pressed right now to find a Major League Baseball team that didn't try to post about it this weekend in some, I'll use air quotes, witty way about the number 5, whether it's the score or runs batted in for a player in a game. Minor league baseball teams all over the country were doing this. There were basically non-NFL level, like football teams in different
Columbia
places.
University did it. I mean,
Definitely. Yeah. Colleges. It was crazy. I mean, everyone was getting their shots in on Jayden Daniels in a way that I did not anticipate.
Yeah, people were talking about he's getting high 4s at practice, out of respect. And I mean, it is run rampant and wild because here's the thing. It's the perfect storm for internet fodder because it's not making fun of an actual crime with an actual victim, right? Because when something happens and someone does something stupid, you get the, actually, there were people that were hurt by this, and then the fun is ruined.
Nobody's hurt.
No one's hurt. And this is just a whiny, petulant temper tantrum that's being called out as such. And the idea is that no one can have access to the number 5 at any time. And it's delightful, quite frankly. These are harmless, simple little ones, but it's like the lowest hanging fruit possible.
The initial response I had to a lot of them, while I'm obviously going to take a little issue and be defensive because it's my quarterback on my team in my city or whatever, was this is funny. This is like really witty and good. Now, everyone making the same joke after 3 or 4 days where the score is 5-3 or you hit a 2-run home run and we won't tell you the score because of our love for Jayden Daniels. I mean, it was the same thing over and over and over again. So by the end of Sunday, it kind of had gotten old to me and stale. But I actually think just generally, if you could separate yourself a little bit, take off your burgundy and gold glasses, set them aside. Like, again, this is a harmless thing. This is pretty unserious. That was pretty funny.
Yeah,
like,
the
memes
like,
were good.
Yeah, StubHub's like we can no longer offer tickets of groups of 5, either 4 or 6. I mean, like businesses are getting in on it.
Lots of them.
Because it's
by the hundreds.
Low-hanging fruit.
But that is indicative to me of just how foolish and silly this all was.
Precisely.
A completely unforced error.
A cell phone.
Self-own.
Not a cell phone that
Right.
you use to call somebody. A self-own.
I thought you were talking about like going to the Verizon store and buying a
it's
phone.
a cell phone.
No, it clearly was. My question is, do you think a lesson was learned here?
No.
You don't?
I don't.
I've heard people say, like today, Kevin Sheehan said, of the Kevin Sheehan show. Basically, I think it's his opinion. I hope I'm not putting words in his mouth inaccurately. But what I gathered was he thinks Jayden Daniels learned a lot of this stuff like when we did, essentially. Or that he just was like uninvolved largely. And to that, I would say, do I think it is his idea? Do I think he's the aggressor? Do I think he's the main party, the main person here that is trying to get number 5 retired? Probably not. I don't think that's him. I don't think he cares that much about it. But I also don't think he's just a complete bystander in all of this. He's a grown-up. He's in his mid-20s. And if he didn't care that much about it, he never would have been on the phone with Lane Kiffin about it, which we know happened, based on the people we've talked to.
Right.
If he didn't care that much about it, then I think you probably say, let's not send a cease and desist, or let's not get lawyers involved, or let's just handle this behind the scenes like everyone else has ever that's been in this situation. My point is not, did he learn a lesson other than maybe in terms of the trust you're putting in your team, your camp, your agent, the people in your ear. But did they learn a lesson? Because when people say, oh, move on, this isn't important, Jayden Daniels had so little to do with this. First of all, we don't really know. But second of all, I'll assume like you do, because it's so out of character and it's so unlike everything else that he's done, that he probably was not the ringleader here. Okay, true. But this is relevant from a sheer judgment standpoint if the people around you think this way. Is this the only time? Did they learn their lesson, or are we going to have to worry about other things, whether it's contract negotiations or other storylines or some other time when they're upset with something that happens in the building? Like, that is important to me.
And it should be. And again, it's the tone, or the underlying point here is you're not doing enough to honor us from Daniels' camp. Years removed, when there are so many bigger fish to fry now in the NFL. Please lead us to championships. Please be healthy for 17 games. Please do so much here, right now. Washington, D.C., so much to do. And the camp is basically going, you guys didn't applaud for us enough and aren't doing enough to make sure that we're revered and this and that and the other thing, when the program will go on with or without you, and they need to win a bunch of games. Otherwise, coaches get fired and people lose jobs and everything else. So to me, it's not, I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry I got caught, which to me is not a lesson learned. And it is instructive. Now, again, who knows what happens going forward? Let's say it's contract time, to your point. And because the first offer isn't exactly as it should be, that's now, we're deeply disrespected. We're profoundly upset, or we're sad over this. And now emotions are entering into negotiation that it still could be in good faith. Right? So I'm not saying that's going to happen or it isn't, but I'm just trying to offer a kind of a straw man example. The point here always was, at the core of this was a grievance, whether you think it's big, small, or something in between. That's fine. We were told by someone that we now know, by the way, based on reporting, didn't have the authority to withhold that number forever. Because that didn't happen, here are now a bunch of levers that I can pull that have nothing to do with that, and a giant tantrum. So people rightly are making fun of that. People rightly are going, that's a petulant tantrum that children do. That's what 8-year-olds do. Again, the analogy I used last week, I'll use it again. My 8-year-old was upset at his older brother, so he said, it's something that has nothing to do with it. You can no longer use my Nintendo Switch. Jayden Daniels is withholding his Nintendo Switch to LSU. This is not what we should be involved in. Whether he was the person, the mastermind behind it, we know he's involved somewhat, to your point about he spoke on the phone, which is one action too many in my view in this whole thing, to Lane Kiffin. But they're asking for the Heisman back, et cetera. This is not oh man, I've learned my lesson, I won't be doing that again. This is we can't believe everyone's reaction to how right we are. We're correct. We started this. This is his business enterprise. This is his brand. Whether he's the person pulling the strings for the decision or not, they're representing him.
Of course.
It's part of his under his house.
That's what I'm asking is, does this lead to him thinking differently or making some type of change or operating differently? Putting myself in his shoes, which, by the way, those are cool shoes, because now I'm so fast and athletic and have a great arm and arm talent. And I can win football games.
Process the hell out of defenses.
I got clowned so badly over these few days. I went from one of the most universally beloved, no one has one negative word to say about me, athletes. We always talk about him wearing the cool kids jacket. Like, no one has ever said a negative word about Jayden Daniels nationally. He was just a dude that everybody likes. To being the butt of a joke for days on end. And even if it's fleeting and for a very short moment, in the short term, I did brand damage with this stupid decision that I got nothing out of. I did destruction to my image based on listening to other people, if most of us are right about how this happened. My trust would be frayed. I would go, well, you were so wrong about this. If doing the thing that you said we should do led to this, is this someone I need to be trusting? Is this how I should be operating in the future? Do I need to make a change to my team, to marketing, to my attorney? Whoever says I need to send this letter. And that's, I guess, my big question is, do we think an adjustment should be made or will be made? And where are we in the way of a lesson learned here? Also, were you surprised at all by how much he got clowned on for a guy that is universally beloved? And maybe that's just the state of the internet. Everyone piles on. It's harmless. You don't think much of it. You fire off your tweet, and you're on to the next. If you're the Orioles or the Reds or the Pirates or
sure,
every
whatever
other
the next meme is,
of the hundreds of teams that got in on this. 800-636-1067. We'll take your calls next. Remember, Eric Flack in about 20 minutes with some news on how much PSLs could cost at RFK 2.0. He has some details on that. Get ready to save up. G&D on the Fan.